Hello, again, here we are. We're going to continue on with what we were talking about the last time, which was what I called 6-point breathing. 6-point breathing is 3 on one side, 3 on the other. So it comes from a practice that's actually called 9-point breathing, and today we're going to introduce the other 3 points, shall we say. So 3 on this side, 3 on that side, and then 3 with both nostrils. So that's the traditional 9-point breathing. And we're going to add a little bit more to that with some visualization. And that's going to make a difference. Each little thing that we add on makes quite a bit of difference in terms of getting the mind to absorb more deeply into what's going on. When you start to give it something that's more attractive and so on, the mind will zero in on that. So the visualization process is really good. It's actually quite transformative to include visualization. Now, some people don't have a good time with visualization. Some people just can't visualize. It's just not part of their, DNA. It's just not there. So what we're going to suggest is that you add physical sensation into that meditation, into that technique, instead of trying to visualize it. And so instead of what we're going to do with visualization, we're going to try and look at it in terms of physical sensation. And this usually works for people who are non-visualizers, feeling physical sensation. In fact, that's actually 2 things that I got recently in texts for people who've been watching these videos, is that they want more demo, so more demonstration, taking a little bit more time to actually go through things so people can follow along with it. And the other thing was people were happy with making sure that I mentioned physical sensation, using physical sensation as something to track, like watching the physical sensation of the breath through the nostrils at the points of the openings, and then up through the nostrils and down into the lungs and so on. That's a really good way to focus on something that isn't mental, and that gives the mind something to focus on. And the physical is like, it's immediate, it's here, it's apprehensible. And that's why in the beginning it's best to do these visualizations, these techniques in a physical kind of way. You're just pointing on the physical sensations as opposed to mental. However, we're going to start adding some visualization, but very, very simple. You're not going to be doing complex mandalas or all that sort of stuff and clouds of Buddhas and all that stuff. And you're not getting into that. That's way down the road, if at all. So it can be done, but that's a choice that someone would make a few years into the picture, a few years of dedicated practice, whether you would want to get into that kind of thing. So 9-point breathing is simply adding in 3 more breaths to what we were doing last time. So you do 3 sides, 3 sides, and then you do both nostrils without any plugging like you're doing with the first 2. So let's do it. Okay, so remember to close the nostril by pressing where it meets the top of the teeth, where the skull bone and the top of the teeth meet together. These facial bones meet, and pressing in on top of the teeth, you'll feel them, and you just close there. You're pressing on bone. You're not pressing on cartilage that you're pressing up here. If you're pressing up here, you're pressing on cartilage and causing bloody noses and so on. So we really want to try and not do that. I did that for a long time and ended up with a long-running problem with bloody noses, and it's not fun. So don't go there. Press here. It's done. It's closed. Okay. We usually do the thumb and the ring finger. Thumb, ring finger, thumb, ring finger. It just works out better. It's just an easier thing to do instead of doing this. Okay. So close the nostril, and we're going to do first the 6-point breathing. We'll do the 6 points, 3, 3, and then we'll add in the 7, 8, and 9, okay? I had too many numbers firing off at the same time in my mind. Okay, so ready? Inhale. So pause, change, exhale. Pause, change, pause, change, pause, change, pause, change. That's one side. Keep the finger there. Inhale. Pause, change, change, change. Now for the remaining 3, just simply good. Excellent. Simple. Now we're going to add one more element to this. We're going to add in a slight visualization because it involves the mind more. Okay, gets in it. The physical sensation is good, really helps to track. But doing this particular thing, I've found in getting people to do this through some of the workshops I've done with people doing this particular thing, what we're just going to do, people found a great deal of calm and centering. They found it really helpful. It's not a complex visualization, but it's a very effective one. So first of all, what we're going to do is remember when we're taking in those breaths, we were doing down into the lungs and out. Okay, now what we're going to do and you can do that in a physical sensation. So, and feeling that air going down into the lungs, filling the lungs, and feel that physical sensation and feeling up, because most of us, guaranteed throughout our days, we're breathing, but we don't even feel it. We're not even aware that it's happening. So adding in the awareness of the physical sensation is really quite different and unique enough for the mind to go, "Ooh, what's that?" And get itself involved. So it's something a little bit easier to tag on to focus on. So instead of just feeling a physical sensation or just being aware of the breath going in and out, we're going to add in some visualizing. And it's simple. On the in-breath, on either side, and when you're doing the 2 in the middle, on the in-breath, take in white light, this really soft white light. Now imagine it going up and going down through the palate and down through the trachea, or the bronchial tubes, down into the lungs, and filling the lungs with white light. Okay, and feel this beautiful sensation of white light going down and filling the lungs. Pause. And then on the exhale, imagine black smoke being pushed out the other nostril. The white light is underneath, so to speak, pushing, like water pushing a bunch of dead leaves or something that are sitting on top of the water, pushing it out and out the nostril, the opposing nostril. And you do that 3 times, pushing out with white light, push out with the black smoke, in with the white light, pushing back out the other nostril with black smoke, and then you change. Inhale in, white light, down into the lungs, fill the lungs, and then the lungs push that black smoke out of the lungs, out and out the opposite nostril. Then when you do the 3rd section, you breathe in, white light up both nostrils, see that white light go down into the lungs, fill the lungs, and then push black smoke out of both lungs, and it's coming out both nostrils. And you can do that whole set, 3, 3, and 3, 3 times. If you want to do it just once, do it. If you're only good for once, do it just that way. But if you feel comfortable doing it 3 times, there are benefits to doing it. The initial one might be a little wonky, and then the second one starts to feel good. And by the time you get to the third one, you're really into it. So sometimes, well, quite often, when you're doing things that require repetitions, the first one, if you think, well, I'll just do one, you can do that, but you'll find you'll get more out of it if you do more than one repetition. If it says 3, do 3. And if somebody says you should do 15, don't do that. Reasonable assignments to yourself of these repetitions in the beginning. Keep it short. Literally, keep it short. Keep it sweet. And then you're going to do much more of them as you move along, and it'll become more natural to you. It'll just happen. You'll find that you've gone maybe 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. In more high-level meditations, you will probably do this thing no more than 3 times. So a set of the 3, 3, and 3, 3 times. So again, that's another 9 kind of thing. So it's a kind of a multi-layered kind of 9. So this is very useful for people who visualize. And if you just can't get it in terms of visualizing, you can't visualize the light, then think of the physical sensation. Well, I'm already focusing on the sensation of the air going in. Okay, so let's focus on the quality of what you're feeling. Shift the quality a little bit, add a little bit of nuance to it. So when you breathe in that white light, or what at that time when you're if you're supposed to be visualizing white light and you choose not to visualize, but imagine just a soft sensation, beautifully soft, cooling, clearing sensation. The breath is clear, it's pure, like mountain air or seaside air, so on. It's just really sweet and clear. And imagine that sensation going into your lungs and filling your lungs. And then when it's time to push the black smoke out, imagine it's thicker, maybe a little heavier, or it's denser, or try to imagine the feeling of smoke. We've all stood around a campfire at some point, been around a bonfire, a campfire, and smelt smoke going up our nose. So if you can remember that smell, think of that leaving your body. You're pushing that out. And then what you're left with, because as the white light pushes up, it's taking up more space until you finally get to the nostrils and the last of the black smoke is gone. And then you feel this really nice, clear feeling. The body is balanced. The breath is balanced. It's much clearer. And the mind, as we talked about, follows suit. So let's try that. So we'll try it together. We're going to do the same thing we just did, but try and do some visualization or imagine the different physical sensations between pure and clear and maybe heavier and denser and smokier. Try to just at least imagine that that white in-breath is clearer and purer than the out-breath, but you are successful in pushing all of that out. And this has a very purifying effect on both the mind and the body. The breath slows down, the mind slows down, but it also calms the body. So these 3 things together, mind, body, breath, and the visualization that goes with it, works as an old phrase, an old term that was invented in the 70s was, this is a gestalt. Gestalt simply meant was everything together as one holistic picture, as one holistic event. So psychology, emotion, thinking, physical reaction, all of that was put together in one experience. Fritz Perls, I believe, who is the father of Gestalt therapy, said that in order to make real transformational change in a human being, you had to hit them as a whole in a gestalt. So back to what we're doing, the meditation when you're doing breathing, and you're mindful of the breathing, and you're mindful of the physical sensation, and you're mindful of how the mind is calming and focusing, and the body also starts to follow suit. Think of it as a spectrum from the evanescence of the breath to the physical density of bone. And there's this spectrum along which, when we breathe in, we go from breath through, electromagnetic energy and so on, life force energy, into air, into liquid, into solid, into the energy that's going on inside the body. Think of all of that as along a spectrum going from almost atomic to physically dense. And then you breathe out again and you go back. So it's this kind of thing where every part of your experience, the gestalt of your experience, is moving towards density and then moving back out. So it's like you breathe in towards this density, full experience, mind, body, all of that stuff, and then back out, and then until it's finally just pure mind and pure energy of the breath, the prana that we talked about of the breath, and so on. So if that helps, try that. So let's do that. So, physical sensation people, get ready for your pure clear air and your smoke. Visualizing people, get ready with your white light and your dark smoke, and we'll do it together. And I encourage you, if you're just starting, try both. See what works for you, because there is no right and wrong. It's not that, well, actually the visualizing is better. No. Whatever works for you. If it works for you, because each of them does actually the same thing. Okay, it's how you identify with the process is best for you. There's too much of this. Well, there's one way to do this. No, there isn't. There really isn't. So you really need to tailor your practice to what works for you. So let's do this. Okay, so we're going to close the video with this. So visualizers, get ready. Sensationalists, sensors, get onto this. Okay, so ready. So, and I'm not going to call out the switches and the changes, so we're just going to actually do it. Okay, I think you've got it now. Let's just do it. So how does that feel? It's nice, isn't it? Okay. One round of those is all you really need to do. But I encourage you, if it feels right, try for 2 or maybe even 3. And you'll see what a difference it can make for you. Okay, see you next time.